Didn't take them long. The liberal media now launching their first jabs at the newly minted House Speaker, Mike Johnson. But many of those attacks appear to center on his Christian faith. They are particularly perturbed by that. Just listen to this shocking comparison from Bill Maher.
And I was reading about this horrible shooting in Maine.
Yeah.
And I heard, we don't know much about the guy yet, but apparently he heard voices. And I thought, is he that different than Mike Johnson? Really? I mean, degree, yes, but it's thinner than you think.
Unbelievable. Now, you'd expect that from Bill Maher, but it's a little more surprising when the former White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, says this.
The Bible doesn't just inform his worldview, it is his worldview. In fact, during his first speech in his new job, Johnson suggested that his election as Speaker was an act of God. Talk about a bit of a humble brag there. His views on policy are essentially what you'd expect from a religious fundamentalist. They're more divisive than they are divine.
A religious fundamentalist. Tell us how you really feel. I got the chance to sit down with Speaker Mike Johnson for a one-on-one interview at the Capitol. We talked about these attacks on his faith, the political divides within America, and the House aid package for Israel. Here's what he had to say. You know, I come from a Christian worldview. I was very vocal about that as White House press secretary. And perhaps I shouldn't have been surprised, but media wasn't always so friendly to someone with a Judeo-Christian worldview. And in your case, some of the things that have been said, Politico interviewed a historian about your worldview, and this historian said you're a Christian nationalist. It comes from that of Christian supremacy. But what I was really surprised by is Jen Psaki, a White House press secretary herself, typically would be measured with her words, I would think, but in this case, she went so far as to call you a Christian fundamentalist. What do you think when you hear that?
Look, there are entire industries that are built to take down public leaders, effective political leaders like me. I'm not surprised by that. I mean, it comes with the territory. It doesn't bother me at all. I just wish they would get to know me. I'm not trying to establish Christianity as the national religion or something. That's not what this is about at all. If you truly believe in the Bible's commands and you seek to follow those, it is impossible to be a hateful person. Because the greatest command in the Bible is that you love God with everything you have, and you love your neighbor as yourself.
You know, I want to highlight, and this is truly outrageous, some of these things that have been said, but I'm just very curious about, to your point, a faith that is based on love, that is Jesus Christ, that was what he lived for, can be characterized in such a way. The Daily Beast called you a Christo-fascist. That is the first I've ever heard that term.
Yeah, well.
They said you're the most extreme example of a dangerously empowered religious fanatic, but here's the line that really stood out to me. They go on to say that your desire to institutionalize your faith is the way of the Taliban and the mullahs in Iran. And then Bill Maher, who we know is not a similar worldview as ours, he went so far as to bring up the main shooter. And he said, we don't know much about the guy yet, but apparently he heard voices. And I thought, is he different than Mike Johnson? I mean, degree, yes, but it's thinner than you'd think. What is it like to be compared to the mullahs of Iran, the Taliban, and the main shooter?
It's just disgusting. I mean, that is absurd. Of course, our religion is based on love and acceptance. So to compare that worldview with the Taliban, who seek to destroy their enemies, or with, some deranged shooter who murders people, is absolutely outrageous. And I think everyone who follows and believes in a Judeo-Christian worldview should be just terribly offended by that. I'm okay, I'll take the arrows. I understand it comes with leadership, and when you step into the fray, that's what you take. But what really hurts me is that it really is a statement about everyone who believes in this, that the country was built upon. Our Judeo-Christian foundation is the heritage of our country.
How do we get to this place, and get out of this place, rather, where people are just viewing the other side as the enemy?
I mean, look, our enemy is like Hamas and terrorists and tyrants who want to do great harm to our country. Someone who's on the other side of the aisle is a fellow elected representative of the greatest deliberative body in the world, and they should be treated as such. And even if they have crazy ideas sometimes, part of the process is that I will be willing to engage with them in a dialogue to forge consensus that will move the ball forward for the most people.
Now let's talk about one of those areas of common ground potentially, this Israel aid package, standalone Israel aid. The reporting is that there will be a vote hopefully Thursday. Is that the timeline you're looking at?
I'm hoping Thursday.
And it looked like $14.5 billion is the number that you're looking at. And you suggest that maybe you'll get a bipartisan vote here.
I sure hope so.
Do you have any sense of the number of Democrats who you think might come?
I hope that it's most or all of them. I mean, there's a few people who have philosophical differences on that, and will have their opposition to that. But look, this is a matter of good versus evil.
How's it going to be paid for?
We're going to be releasing that here shortly, but my intention and my desire in the first draft of this bill is to take some of the money that has been set aside for the building and bulking up the IRS right now. They have about $67 billion in that fund, and we'll try to take the 14.5 necessary for this immediate and urgent need. We'll deal with the rest of that issue later.
Do you think that will drive away some Democrats in the Senate even, or here in the House?
It may, but my intention is to call Leader Schumer over there and have a very direct and thoughtful conversation about this. I understand their priority is to bulk up the IRS, but I think if you put this to the American people and they weigh the two needs, I think they're going to say standing with Israel and protecting the innocent over there is in our national interest and is a more immediate need than IRS agents.
Yeah, you know, Emily, I also interviewed his wife, and we'll air some of that later on. But his wife, Kelly, said she was praying during this whole 3-week chaotic debacle. And I said, were you praying for him to be speaker or praying for a way out of this? And she said, I was not praying for him to be speaker. He was kind of thrust upon him. And what struck me is this is a guy who is humble. He is not seeking power like so many of the politicians and probably the media figures you watch. And he had a real calmness about him and a real serenity, like someone was guiding his path and he knew there was a way out of this for our country. And he wants to partner with Hakeem Jeffries, not on principle, but he sees a man with a good heart on the other side of the aisle.
Which is so evident from your interview with him. His answers so common sense, so rooted in faith, and yet packaged in this reasonable, soothing delivery that actually restores my faith that maybe Congress can now get something done with him at the helm. That indeed there were larger reasons for him assuming this position, and no, it's not going to be diluted or somehow polluted by the far left characterizing him in really unpalatable terms and shapes. And it struck me that you described him humble, joyful, kind. That's what struck you about this, and that he wasn't seeking power. So can you speak a little bit to the humility inherent in who he is?
It was honestly shocking. I have been around a lot of politicians. I've been around a lot of senators. I've been around a lot of congressmen and women. And oftentimes you'll see people who are short with their staff. You'll see some good people, but you see people who clearly have ambition on their mind. You see it in their answers. It's so carefully crafted. It's like a mannequin politician. When I spoke to him, Harris, I saw someone who was just, he said at 3 a.m., that beautiful speech he gave on the House floor that I've heard a lot of positive things about across the country. He said he jotted it down at 3 a.m. It was a message on his heart. He didn't even have time to prepare the speech. It came from someplace deep. He very much wants civility. He very much wants to take us to a place where we put aside the hot rhetoric and we work together as Americans.
Yeah, he sees a chance. He sees an opening now to change the conversation from hate to love. And that is amazing. I would say a couple of things about him. The left is going to try to marginalize him along the lines of religion. Look what's happening on campuses and even on Capitol Hill among some of those on the left in the House, Rashida Tlaib and others. They are marginalizing people of faith. That is about being Jewish. This is about being Christian. And if you think anti-Semitism will stand alone, no, it won't on Capitol Hill. It'll be anti-Christian. It'll be anti-anything that is opposite of where they want to see the country in terms of globalism and disarming us from our faith, the same way that they've tried to do with schools. I would say that. And also, his focus now is on something other than all the fighting and all of that. Remember, he has the least experience compared to a speaker since 1870. That actually might be a good thing.
Yes.
I mean, that could be a blessing.
Yes. And, you know, he did take me into the congressional prayer room. That does exist in Congress, and George Washington can be seen on a stained glass window on his knees in prayer. He said he will begin every morning as House Speaker in that room.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.